Here we have a FIAT Dino, Spider 1970, 2.4. Now these are particularly rare, 424 according to the Bible, the Mike Morris book, although some people say maybe as many as 450 were made. But that makes it rarer than the Lancia Stratos, which is a hugely desirable car, and certainly a lot rarer than the 246 Ferrari Dino. And it's a full convertible, and it's built with a mitre Fiat monocoque chassis, modern design. So yeah, it's quite a something. Anyway, this is in for full restoration, rotisserie restoration. It looks nice, it looks pretty, but there's quite a lot to do on this one. So I think we'll start with a bit of an appraisal, walk round, see what we can see, and these are the areas of concern, I guess. So yeah, let's start. So we really want to look at the bodywork on this, but also there's various mechanical things we should take attention to, and when it's finished we want it 100% correct. So things like the airbox, this has been chrome plated. Normally it'd be finished in a sort of a hammerite sort of hammered finish, dark grey or silvery. Down to the customer what we do with that, but I think we ought to change that. Distributor here, that's a 2 litre item, not a 2.4 one. Been converted to some sort of hall sensor, which is not a bad thing. If it seems to work well, it drives very well. So that's not a bad thing, but maybe little things like that, be nice to correct them as we go. We've got the Dinoplex, original Dinoplex box, but I suspect it hasn't the Dinoplex internals in it because it doesn't buzz when we start it up. And of course we've got this hall sensor, so it leads me to believe we haven't got the original internals in there. Not the end of the world, at least we've got a Dinoplex box, most are missing. Another thing of note, we have a little inline fuel filter here. Normally on a 2.4 off this bracket would be a fuel regulator. On the 2 litres it's actually a fuel bowl with regulator, a sort of filter, and also it has a sort of glass bowl underneath it, so you have a little reservoir of cool fuel, so it's supposed to help with a reservoir of cool fuel to the carbs to help them with the sort of fuel evaporation. When you turn the engine off, heat of the engine evaporates all the fuel out of the carb fuel bowls. But hopefully with this you've got a bit of cooler fuel here. You turn the ignition on, prime the carbs up, and you've got this cooler fuel going through it, which should work. But anyway, on these they have a return system. 2 litre isn't a return system. So the idea of the return system is it goes up to the carbs and then it pushes back through, which should get rid of any airlocks and so on, and vaporisation. But anyway, normally this is missing, this bracket, but you sometimes see the remains of it on the inner wing where it's been chopped off. It's rare the bracket's there, and even rarer to see the actual regulator. It's so rare, in fact, I don't think I've actually ever seen one on a car. I've seen photos of them and seen cars that have got them on, but not one that's been through my workshop. So yeah, we'll see. We yet got to work out, where we can find one. But it's not the end of the world. They normally perform quite well anyway, so without them, so it's not, not something we need to fret about. Okay, so that's that. But looking at some bodywork stuff, if we can get a sort of somewhere around this area, I don't know if you can see this. There's a lot of filler in this corner of the bonnet here, so we've got some issues here. You can sort of hear the difference in the tone as I tap it. That's got some filler in it, so we've probably got some corrosion in there to look at. We have got the underhood blanket here, which is quite often missing. Got the original bracket, which is nice. So, although this needs a bit of work, or well, we're gonna have to make a new one, but at least we've got it for a pattern. Original steel header tank. doesn't look too bad. We'll see what we can do with that. If we can salvage that, that'd be nice. There are new ones available, but they're in aluminium. They're not bad, but it'd be nice to keep the original if we can. That'll do for under here for the minute. There's other little details, but let's not get too off subject. But let's go around to the boot area whilst we're looking at panels that open. So, there we are. All 2.4s have this type of prop on them, which that locks it in. You lift it back up again and it will drop back down. Lift it up again, clicks in like that. Now, believe it or not, there was 3 different versions of this. All 2.4s are like this, late 2 litres are like this, but early 2 litres had a little prop that you'd have to sort of fold down and use. They had 2 versions of that, so 3 different props just to hold the boot up. So they changed them quite a lot. Boots are all in aluminium frame and skin, which is complex and gives its own issues, but you know, we'll see. This doesn't look too bad, but I'll reserve judgment on that till we get a bit further into it. This bracket's damaged for some reason, been pulled around. It should be square to the edge of here, and you can see there's damage to it. Not quite sure what that's all about. We'll have to work that out. It does seem to line up and work, so we'll get into that later on. I'll grab my light because we're going to look at some stuff in detail in the boot. Now, we seem to have some repairs in here. You see a line, some sort of welds happened here. There's stuff around here, I don't know if that's just glue actually, but there is a weld there. Something's been let in there. And then if we come over to this side, we seem to have a bigger gap here. It's a bit dented, so I'm not sure if something's not happened to this back panel. There's also right down in here, I don't know if you can see this, there's a little lip there which shouldn't be there. We've got something going on there anyway, so we've got stuff to look at there. And then if we go round, if you follow me around this way so we can look inside there. So in here, we can see a seam through here. So it's had a lower half wing. You can see the seam go down there. That's not factory, that's been let in. Again, we can see sort of areas here where it's had work done. You see this lip here, shouldn't be there. So that's that little patch let in there. But of note, battery box. It's had this little piece, well, this thing's been fabricated and let in here. So it's missing its original battery box. Now, battery box is very vulnerable in these. The old battery acid leaks, tends to rot them out and then cause problems lower down, rot out the rear quarter. But yeah, you can see there's some plating been done in here. So yeah, so we've got to, you know, got to do that. Got a pattern, not a problem. Soon make a battery box up. But it looks like we'll probably have to do some other remedial work first. So that's that. Right. Okay, next we'll walk around the side of the car here and we'll have a look. Let's pull this door open, have a look on here. So doors are in reasonable condition. This is, you know, where the door skin's folded over. It does seem a bit sharp here, so something's not quite right there. As we go down here, yeah, it feels quite good. Not sure, looks like it's had some stuff done on the bottom. It's certainly dented up in here a bit. But we'll have a look. Once we get the paint off, we'll know more about that. But what I've noticed, which we've got to get up into this A-post area, there's some stuff going on in here. So first off, we've got these little welds here, these little MIG blobs that have then been ground down. Something's been going on with this bracket. This is the bracket that holds the windscreen bolts to effectively. Something's been going on there, and up in here, I don't know if you can see, we've got a sort of gap up in here. If you can see that, and this piece of metal is there, and then that's there. Something ain't right there. We can see some, these don't line up very nicely, some sort of corrosion here. Something's been going on with this A-post area. These are slightly the wrong shape, and so on. Now this bit area normally is covered with a plastic trim. I think we've got it, but it's not fitted. But anyway, it would have to come off to have a good look at it. Now another good thing on these to give a sort of tell of what's going on, when they made them, they put a little sort of fillet of filler in here, or Bondo or gum, I don't know what it was. It was something that sort of goes over in this angle. I think it's so that you don't get water trapped here. Now it's nearly always missing. Now I replicate it when we restore cars, but if it's not there, it means it's had work in this area, which you can see. You can see there's, you know, there's a sort of lump of weld there. So it's probably had half wings, you know, from the exterior, which is, you know, telling that things have been going on here. But always these A posts, they're very vulnerable anyway. But you can see here, it looks like it's had a little bit let in there. But certainly on the other side of this, there's something going on, but we'll have a look at that later when we get the wheels off. But that's that bit, so something's happening there. So we're going to have pay some attention to that. Right, that'll do for that. Right, if I get the bonnet open again, and I'll prop it up, we've got to get a detail shot down inside the inner wing there, which might be a little tricky, but let's see what we can do. So, if we look down here, below this vacuum pipe to do with the braking, you can see this crack here, little crack in there. Now this area is very vulnerable on all Dinos, coupes and spiders, 2 litres as well. It's because there's about 3 or 4 different sections of steel all joined together here, and there's a rust trap inside from underneath. You get a lot of mud build up in there and it rots away, so it all festers away. Difficult to repair and, you know, make it look nice again, but we can do that, we'll sort it out. But yeah, definitely got issues here, but it's not uncommon, and it's a bit of a thing to look for if you're looking at Dinos. Now it looks like there's some welding bin here, some lumps here of weld, so some stuff's been going on in this area. But yeah, we've got definitely going to have issues. Engine will obviously come out. I mean, this car's going to come down to a bare shell, rotisserie restoration. We'll use some sort of media blasting, full paint removal. This will all come to light then. But yeah, I think we got some work there, definitely. Yeah. Another thing is around these areas is always a place to look. If you've got gaps in here, normally to do with accident damage and so on. Now, it wasn't finished very well from factory. They just sort of put a little fillet of steel in there and welded it up. But yeah, not sure about this. It feels like there's all sort of load of gum in there. So we'll have to see what we got when we clean that area up. Okay. Yeah, so this area normally has a seal across it, which is missing, but we won't worry too much about that. We can get a seal for there. This scuttle area just screws on through these screws here and clips in underneath the windscreen here. Underneath here, this panel has a little clip, that sort of fillet that clips in. So yeah, that's nothing too much to worry about there. Okay, I think we need to get the wheels off. No, let's look underneath. Let's get it up in the air, have a look underneath. Similar problems on the other side to what I've shown already. We won't, you know, just take it as read. We've got to double up. Thing of interest here is these little screw holes, you know, these little holes. We've got these both sides of the wing. I suspect it had 2 litre bumpers fitted to it at one point, which wrap round a lot further and have the mounting bracket there. So something's been going on there, you know. Don't know why, but these are the proper chrome plated steel bumpers. These aren't the reproduction ones in stainless steel, which are very good actually, but it's nice to have the original proper bumpers. But anyway, you know, and they're not actually damaged, they're actually in very good shape. Right, let's get the car up in the air so we can have a look underneath, because there's quite a bit to see under there of interest. So, right, let's have a look, before we go underneath, let's have a look at this sill area. So this sill, wrong shape, comes straight down here, should curl round like that. So we've got, you know, replacement sills, completely the wrong shape, don't have the right lip on the bottom and so on. Now if we can see these little lumps here, these are all little welds, little gobs of weld, where it's had an inner sill let in and an outer sill. You know, this all's got to come off anyway, but you know, it's the wrong shape. You can see the sort of filler work in here, you know, bubbling up. You know, again, that sort of ties in with this half wing that I'm saying has probably been replaced, but we'll get more into that when I get the wheels off. Back edge of the sill. Yeah, you see it doesn't really line up here, and then that goes straight down, doesn't curl around it. Again, that should be more sort of gentle curve through there, which means we've got work in this area. And then we were talking about these areas being let in. There's problems in here as well. It doesn't look quite the right shape of the seam. And then this should have a inside. You should be able to fit a lip inside there. But this doesn't. This is just flat. It's just like that. But yeah, there's a problem there where there isn't a lip, where it's all spot welded together. But we'll work that out. Okay, so if we can get, I'll try and get it up as high as it will go on the ramp, so we can get a look underneath here. Right, okay, so if you come under here, so all this is the wrong shape. This should fold over, it should have a little kick in there, so this is actually too far forward, this area. It should be back here. You see the welds we were talking about, they're all wrong. This whole lot's wrong. And then we've got, if we can look back up towards there, can you see the sort of ghost outline of a plate right at the top there, which is this area here. It's got a plate lead in there. You can see a weld through here. So there's an awful lot going on in this area. We'll have to take a lot off. And we can see up through here, half wing. Can you see the join underneath the indicator unit there? That is where they join them from factory, but he didn't write. So, you know, these have been replaced. So we'll sort that out. I might take the wings off entirely. So we can see here these welds. That area, this has been replaced. It's not the right thing. This has been replaced. It's not the right thing. This should have some drain holes in it. No drain holes. Got a dent on this cross member. Not a problem. It's original, which is quite good. This looks like original. Hasn't been got at. If it's in good condition, we'll leave that alone. Floors are correct. Got the pressings in them as they should be, and these little tangs. I think these were sort of for manufacturing to do with draining stuff when they would go through a dipping process at factory. This is factory under seal. Got some stuff over the top of it, but you can see this is the actual factory stuff. So it's promising. You've got a little bit of damage here, but you say we'll work all this out when we get to it. We come back further back. Something's been going on with the brake pipes. That's been made up. It doesn't fit right. Also of note, so we've got the hoses have been replaced to go into the brake pipe area here, but what we haven't got, we've got these little studs here, got some corroding there as well, and some holes in the drill. But anyway, those studs, off of that should be the load compensator valve lever. Should come across here, then come across on here onto a link. It's all missing. Now that should be on both sides, on this one as well. And then there we've got the bracketry again. And then the compensator valve itself is missing. So where would that normally be? See if we can find where that mounts, because we haven't got that. Yeah, here we are. So it would go up onto this area here. I don't know if we can get to that at all. Can you see this bracket here? Anyway, it would go there. That one up in there. So it hasn't got the brake load compensator valve fitted. We'll rectify that. And then we're onto the fuel pump. Wrong fuel pump. It's in the right place, but it's the wrong fuel pump. And the pipe work's all wrong, so we'll sort that out. I mean, it's obviously coming apart, so that'll get sorted. Okay, so let's move forwards and floors again. You see this side of the car, again, all the same thing. Customer knows about this. Yeah, it's part of why it's here with me. But yeah, these are good. These floors look quite good. I mean, obviously, don't know what they're going to be like once we clean them up, but they've got the right pressings. Got the pressings in here. That should be there. You can't really see it with the exhaust there, but that's correct. What isn't correct is it should have an aluminium heat shield, which is missing both sides, which is good because we can see what's going on with the floor pans, but not so good that it's not there where it should be. And then we get to the front cross member. These are very vulnerable on these spiders. They're actually open at the ends, which is how they made them, which means they're not very strong.
but it's actually not too bad. It's not too damaged. Bit of corrosion in it, bit of corrosion in here, bit of damage there, a bit of rot, but we can sort that out. But I'm not too worried about that. I think the next thing will be get the wheels off so we can look at these A-post area, which is, yeah, certainly there's work to do there. Again, in this A-post area, we can get a shot of up in here. You can see how all this ties in is completely wrong, but you know, I know how this should be, and I've got patterns, so I can put all this right properly. Outriggers don't look too bad, although they have got a join in them there. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, and it looks like it's had some stuff done around here. But again, once we get it stripped down, we'll know. Yeah, so there's plenty to do, but it can be put right well, and you know, done well enough that no one will ever know. That's the whole point, is to do it well enough. Right, okay, let's get the wheel off and see what we got. There is stuff in behind here that I know we've got to look at, so let's get to that. Oh, wrong wheel bolts. These are chromed ones. They should be little steel ones with FIAT written on them, so yeah, we'll correct that. I know no one's going to see them when the hubcaps are on, but let's get it right, shall we? In fact, the hubcaps, they're the correct hubcaps with a lovely Torino mark on them, Brevitato, Brev, but they haven't got the, you know, haven't got the FIAT bit on them. We'll sort that out. We'll do something with that. Right, let's get these off. Right, put that over there for a minute. Okay, so we were looking the other side of here inside the engine bay. So you can see there's a lot of sealant been brushed on here. But this is the area that I'm saying is so vulnerable, catches all the dirt and then corrodes up in all inside here. So when this cleans up, we'll see what we've got to do, but it will transpire into that problems out there. Now, looking along here, it's nice to look along the edge here. It's quite straight. You know, and this is all straight and nice, no real signs of accident damage. This is all straight, looks good. A bit of corrosion in here, you know, usual stuff. But we've got something missing. See a bracket here? So, got a bracket here. And we can see like the top of the wing here and so on. But what we haven't got is the air pipe. So there should be a fresh air pipe that goes down to a pair of plenum chambers in here. Now we haven't got the plenum chambers, and we haven't got the fresh air pipe. So if I stand here, you come round this side and have a shine in here. These air plenum chambers go into a duct in here, and then also, normally you wouldn't see any of this because it has a little cover over here. Little aluminium cover. We haven't got that, and so all this is the wrong shape, but you can see the welds here. See this nice flat piece of metal? Well, it ain't right. You can see where it joins there. They sort of gob some weld in here. This is this plate we were looking at earlier. All these plates, you see the sort of ghost lines of the welding through here, and then this bit's all been let in. So we got all sorts going on in here. And also when we look here, you can see the mounting for the lower hinge. That should be held in a little captive retainer. There's nothing holding that in place. And this area here, see this sort of goes out right to the edge of the wing here. I don't know if you can get that, but that's been replaced. So, oh, I'll get my head in there so I can have a look. But yeah, something ain't right there. And can we see here? I don't know if we can see this join. That's the join, and so that's a factory join. They will have a join there. But that's, you know, so don't get alarmed when you're looking at one of these. Mind you, you don't see it if you've got the cover. You know, 2.4 wings, that's how they are. 2 litre wing doesn't have a join there at all. Now, I don't know if that's because the tooling was so worn out by the time they got to this, to these 2.4 cars, or if to make them fit nicely, they decided that it'd be better to join them there. But that's the thing. So yeah, if you've got a join there on a 2 litre, it's definitely had the lower half wing.
And a 2.4, you know, it probably has been done, but you have to use, you know, use your sort of knowledge and intellect and try and work out if it's been done. But yeah, it should, you know, don't get alarmed to see a joint, but it just, you know, you still got to work it. It still could have been done. It still could have been replaced. If it's done well, it's not a problem, but quite often it hasn't been done that well. So anyway, right, and on that note, thinking about it, I'll grab a factory wing. I've got a factory wing here. Right, so here's a factory ring, although it's for the other side. Here's our indicator. Here's where the badge would mount. You see the join there. You see the folds just lower from it, so this would all get filled. You know, I don't know if they use lead on these, to be honest. I think they just used some sort of Bondo of type. But you can see in here, you can see how it's made. So you can see the join there. So, what have we got? We've got one piece of metal there, another piece here, got a weld through here. And you can see this goes over from above. So this is a little joddled edge, and these are spot welds. So that is part of that. So this goes up. This one piece of metal here goes up and then folds onto there, so that's one piece. So that is all that. So that lip is above it. Bit of a water trap, but that's, you know, one of them things. So if we have a look in here, this should be one piece, then it should go up to the jodled edge and fold over onto that. But look, it's not, is it? I don't think. That wing comes down to there, and then this goes over that. So that's round the wrong way. So sort of proves what I said. It's a joint, but it's obviously round the wrong way, which means that's new, which we knew anyway, because you can't have done all that work with that on there. But yeah, so I think we might take the wings off entirely. Certainly we'd take the half wings off before it goes off for media blasting. Might take the whole wings off, I don't know. I'll work that out as I start to strip it down. Depends what else we find in this area, but you know, we've got a lot of work here to do, and up in here, and it might be easier with the wings off to make a nice job of that. So that we'll have a work out of that later on. But anyway, there we go. Yeah, factory wing. You can tell it's Fiat factory, genuine, because of the sort of pink primer they come in. They're always in this pink primer. If it comes in a black primer, it's probably a modern reproduction. It sounds a bit silly, modern reproduction, but there have been some people making them or trying to make them. Now we're talking about that ducting, weren't we? That air ducting. This is the bracket where there's a little bracket bolts onto here to hold the air ducting up in place. So let's see if that's there. Yeah, we got it. But you see it's missing, the stud's been broken off. So let's see what we can see. Can we see there? So the stud's missing, but we've got the bracket. And so that would normally go across to there, where they snap the bolt off, or the stud off. So yeah, so that would be there as well. So that's all sort of telling of what's been going on with this. So yeah, we've got some things to look at on here. Oh, and what I have seen, I don't know if we can get a shot of this. See what I'm saying about how it all corrodes up in here? And if you can see that from there, or if you need to come this side. But yeah, it's all corroded up in here. You can feel it's all sharp and horrible and sort of falling apart, but that's what it's like. That's what you get. So that's, you know, usual stuff on one of these Dino spiders. Okay, I've already looked at the other side and we got more of the same. So there's nothing really particularly, you know, it's just a mirror image of this. So that'll do for now. Perhaps we'll have a look on, get the rear wheels off and have a better look in there in a minute. So I'll have to put the wheel back on the front so I can jack the back up. Let's do that. Right, putting the wheel on, something else of interest. So we've got the Chromadora cast into it here, and we've got Dino cast into it here. Now that's wrong. That should have Fiat written on it, not Dino. Now that makes this wheel particularly valuable because it's a 246 Ferrari Dino wheel. Now, what's a 246 Ferrari Dino wheel doing on a 2.4 Fiat Dino? Well, that's because they were assembled at the Maranello factory, Ferrari factory. So they might have run out of Fiat wheels, but they're all made by Cromodora. But normally it's only the 246 that's the Dino on the wheel, and so all the Fiats had the Fiat on the wheel. But it's not unheard of to find them on Fiat Dinos. But if you've got a Fiat wheel on your 246, God dear, they don't like that, they don't, the Ferrari guys. But you know, it might have been like that forever, it might have been like that from factory. And whilst we're talking about wheels, another little thing that not many people know about on these, I'll have to take it off to show you. Oh, and before anyone says this isn't detailed properly, yeah, it should be detailed in black. I'm not going to get into all that. You know, they change the hubcaps on these occasionally as well, so it's all, you know, lots of things change. I'm not going to get into all that boring stuff. But what is interesting, well, maybe not, but I'll tell you it's interesting. Right, this is a 2.4 wheel because it's got this big cutout in it. A 2 litre wheel doesn't have this extra cutout. So this will fit onto a 2 litre, but a 2 litre wheel won't fit onto the 2.4. And if we look here, we've got, yeah, missing the wheel spacers. Normally a 2.4 has a wheel spacer. This hasn't got a wheel spacer on it. Just something they did anyway. But yeah, I don't know why it's missing. Interesting, this hub looks very, very new, so I don't know what's going on there. We might have to have a proper look at that when it comes apart. But yeah, normally there's a wheel spacer on here, not very thick, 5 mil or something. But anyway, yeah, I don't know why that's not there. But anyway, that's an aside. Right, let's put this back on and let's have a look at, should we go and see if that one's got Dino written on it, shall we? Or if it's got Fiat written on it. So we've got Cromodora and we've got Fiat. So 14 by 6.5. So yeah, look, that's what you'd normally have. So we've got a Rogue Dino wheel. Well, there we are. Perhaps we'll cash it in, help pay for the restoration. Now let's let this down, and I'll tell you what, we'll come under here and just look at something else of interest. When I just move this across, let me get this out of the way, otherwise I'll bash you on the head with it. Actually no, I'll tell you what, I'll move it this way for the moment. So let's get that lump. So here we've got our exhaust headers coming down, and then we've got these on them, these acorn nuts. Well, these have been let in, these nuts, you'd undo them, and there's a thread behind here, and that's so that you can put the Ferrari style gas analyzer on it. So to set the carbs up, each carburetor has a choke, and each choke on each carburetor feeds its own combustion chamber. And each combustion chamber is exhausted via one of these. So if you tune the carburetor and alter the mixture, if you can put a gas analyzer onto the individual pipe, you can see exactly what it's doing. But also what I noticed is it's got these big nuts on here. Now this looks like they've fitted Lambda sensors on here that you'd have on a modern car. So again, I think someone's been sort of doing some setup on this. Normally you don't have any of this stuff on them. They didn't have any of this, you know. This was a sort of Ferrari thing. You get them, they don't look like this, they look like little tubes and they rot away and break off. But it's on Ferraris, some of the Maseratis had them and so on. A lot of stuff, a lot of exotic Italian stuff has it, but not Fiat Dinos. So yeah, but yeah, it's not, it just means someone's been, you know, using the factory style gas analyzers. You know, you'd have 6 tubes,
one to each of these, on each bank. So, and then you could tell what every choke was doing on every carb. So, you know, it's a lovely thing if you can do it, but, you know, normally you can't even, you know, normally you don't have the access to test them. Right, okay, let's get the back wheel off and have a look at what we got. Right, okay. So, let's have a look at this. Slightly misshapen around here. Haven't got quite the lip we should have in here, which is telling of, you know, things going on here. Also, when I hold on to it, you can't really see this, well, you can't really film this, but it's just thick. It's that thick behind here. It should close down, you know, it should be joined together here, spot welded through here, and you should be able to put your hand behind here and close them up. It's all just thick, full up with gunk and filler and stuff. So there's been a lot of work in these wheel arch areas. So in here, so we got ghost lines of a weld there. Got what's left of the grommet. Puts a load of filler over the grommet because it's very hard to touch. But yeah, there's a rubber grommet underneath that. This lip should be here, but it's been fudged. You can see sort of bits of weld on it. This area's wrong. You see, there's a bit let in there. We were looking at that inside the boot, weren't we, earlier? So there we go. That's all done. All this is all wrong. All the wrong shape, all round through here. So a load of work. That's all got to be cut off. We had a plate let in here, so we've got some corrosion going on in there. And all this area, see here, we've got this sort of bottom dough and stuff. Weld here. So this area's all wrong. All through here. Can we see if we come back there? Oh, let me put that there. Well, there's our wheel spacers. Yeah, here's our wheel spacers. I think they're supposed to be on the front. I can't remember if you have them on the rear. Don't think you do. Anyway, well, I'll have to do a bit of research on that, but yeah, I think they should be on the front. Another weird little thing, FIAT Dino thing, the back discs are actually taller in profile, so bigger than the fronts. Now, nearly always, every other car I can ever think of has got bigger front discs than back, because obviously your weight transfer goes onto the front when you brake, and you need big discs on the front. But for some quirk, these have ended up with bigger discs on the rear. I don't really know what to say about that. 2 litres are a bit more conventional in that place, in that respect. But yeah, you can see these ghosts, these welds, see where this seam would have been. That seam should carry on all the way down there. This is all the wrong shape. This should sort of end further back in here. You know, it shouldn't be this far out because you should have this line. That should all tuck in. So a whole load of stuff going on in here that needs rectifying. Yeah, it's solid and it's not rusty and it's saved the car. It's kept the car going. You know, we've always got to remember that you know, it might not look very good, but at least the car still exists. At least it's still on the road and, you know, it's loved and we can really make something of it from here. But yeah, but you know, the efforts are to get it back to how the factory did it, which is a lot more work than the hand-built Maseratis I work on, because these are all stamped panels. They may be coach built, as in they were assembled at the coach builders, but they're stamped out panels. You know, that wing we're looking at was stamped out on a press, and all of this stuff is. And then it's all assembled together and spot welded together. There's quite a good book about coupes, about how they were assembled. It's just about the bodywork. A lot of it's taken from the bodywork manual, spares manual. But it shows them putting them together, albeit that at the Bertone factory rather than the Pininfarina factory. And the coupes by Bertone were of a far superior quality in their build than the Pininfarina stuff. It sort of reflected when they were new, they were more expensive because they were more expensive to build. But nothing like it now. They're all, you know, now you know, everyone wants the roof to come off. You know, price goes up when the roof comes down. That's the way it is, isn't it now? But anyway, why not? These are beautiful cars. So yeah, I think we're Yeah, it's probably more to talk about, but I think that'll do for now. You get an overview of what we're dealing with. There's a myriad of little details, you know, eagle-eyed out there that know these things are probably seeing them in this, you know, probably seeing it already and saying, oh yeah. So things like here, we should have a little escutcheon. That would help push this back and stop this bit winding around on here and making a mark, you know. These are correct, nearly always missing. These are the correct weird sort of Maserati type plated ones. That, luckily they've reproduced those now. For years you couldn't get them. And these are the correct door handles. Now that's what all 2 litres and 2.4 should have. Normally they've been replaced with a FIAT 124 item. These have been leather covered and it's missing the little chrome plastic trim through here. But you know, at least they're the proper thing. We can probably do something with that. You know, we'll find a way of making them nicer. You know, at least they're there. But anyway, we're not going to get into all this because I'll catalogue that as I strip it down. Should be a little escutcheon on here, doesn't seem to have that. And also noticed earlier we're missing the little tops for here, the little chrome tops. But yeah, we'll work that out. But yeah, and we can see we've got quite a big shim under here. You know, makes you wonder why the doors aren't fitting quite so well. But yeah, that's quite often the case, so don't get too alarmed to find shims there. You know, they are, it's a bit of the way they were. You know, these weren't made by the Japanese. You know, where everything is like, you know, really tight tolerances. You know, part of their charm really, the way they are. Right, I think that'll do. What do you reckon?